That's what it's all about, people. It's all about. Hello, America. This is the Brother Seamus Show. This news just in. This is breaking news, people, right here over my wrong shoulder. This shoulder, patriotism has no religion. That just came in on the teletype from Anchorage. I believe the news is in from Anchorage that the United States was never a fucking Christian nation, man. Sorry, I dropped the F-bomb. I try to be a little bit friendly to the children, but once in a while, if you're trying to argue that somehow Christianity is the boss of the United States of America, I would say, well, let me answer with music. This is me. Oh no, this is a different one. Oh. I gotta slow it down. Sorry, that was copyrighted, what you just heard there, folks. That was copyrighted, but now if I slow it down to half speed, it'll sound like this. This is ELO doing, what's it called? Do you want my love? Oh, I think it's just called Do Ya. Let me share the video. So I can play it in half speed and I don't get in trouble so far. And what it's pretty good in half speed. Oh, I'm too loud. My compressed voice and the music are too loud. Let's turn the music up a little for the kids at home. The kids like to dance, you know. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool half speed. Out, you just gotta go slower.
Yeah.
we go again. Here we go again, people. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Do Ya by ELO, played at half speed with a fresh dance performance by Bigfoot for Democracy. It doesn't get better than that here on the Brother Seamus Show. That's kind of what the whole thing is about. Now, for those of you who are wondering, Bigfoot is both male and female. This is breaking news from the world of cryptozoology. We gotta cut that. Woo! That was copyrighted material right there, people. We can't be playing that on the Brother Seamus Show. But what we can play is a track mixed by West Michigan's Sam Kenny. And then he blasted it out here to us in Walla Walla, Washington, where we record. Ooh, that's too loud, but we'll bring it. We'll slide it right in there. Get it right in the pocket there. This is Oh Yeah by yours truly and Sam Kenny, all the way from West Michigan. We're live on Q109 out of Walla Walla, Washington. You can call us today if you want to talk about how patriotism has no religion and that this country was founded by people with a variety of religious beliefs. The big lie is this is one of their favorite big lies, is that somehow they were all Christians and it was a Christian nation. They love that. There's no evidence of that at all. Benjamin Franklin was like your brother Seamus. He was a big fat atheist, man. I'm not making fun of his weight. I just mean, he was fat in terms of ideas. PHAT, people. Don't try to say I'm hate speaking. But the point is this. The whole reason we founded the country was to get away from an oppressive king who said we have to accept his version of religion. It was also mainly sort of, we didn't want to pay taxes anymore. and you want to vote for a guy who pretty much says, this is for you Trump voters, you want to vote for a guy, I'm not picking on you, I'm just saying, you're voting for a guy who pretty much says we might need to suspend the Constitution so that I can be president for as long as I want, and by the way, I want to be a dictator. But only on day one. So if you believe that, if you believe that's the best choice, then I respect your right to vote for whomever you want to vote for. But I hope you'll think about it. I hope you'll think about your brother Seamus's idea that if, and now remember, you're not just getting little Donnie pants, you're also getting the far extreme religious right that really, really wants to control women, first of all. But the minute they get their hands on gay rights, they're going to try to take us to a Christian, not just Christian, far right, extreme Christian, because regular Christians, I can see Jim is shaking his head in agreement. Can I get an amen? So the deal, if you're just joining us, I like to think, how would I explain this to like a Gen Z voter who's never voted or paid attention? And one thing you got to do, first of all, stay calm when you're looking into who you're going to vote for. Don't get all caught up in a bunch of hype. All this hype about is President Biden too old? Well, guess what? He's old. He's slow. That doesn't mean that he can't do the job. You know what the best evidence is that he can do the job really well? He's already doing it really well. I know everybody's mad about inflation, but guess what? Inflation has come down steadily, and it will continue to come down. We're almost back to 2%, which I think is sort of where we hang out a lot of the time. We'll call it normal, for lack of a better term. You see, my beat stopped, and now I feel naked. Yeah. Jim's testifying. Brother Jim. Yeah. So what Brother Jim is laying down, I don't know how well the audio is getting to you, but you'll probably hear some of it in there. He's basically saying that this movement, this Christian nationalist movement, is designed to give Christian people privilege and power that they can then wield against whomever they consider, would you say, an enemy of the church? Anybody could be a target. We know who they'll go for first. So the idea is they want to create a power structure where, dare we call it, a white nationalist Christian power dynamic. And women will get the shit into the stick, and and you know this is true, if your skin is any darker than your brother Seamus right here, most people don't know this. They think I'm white, but I got news for them, people. I'm light peach. Let me get a close-up on the light peach. See right there? Now, you can pick your own color on the color wheel. I think we got to get past this ridiculous idea that skin color matters. Skin color tells you nothing about the quality of the person you're dealing with. It's God's sunblock. How close did your most recent ancestors live to the equator? How far did they wander? There was one group that chased the juicy ungulate, the gazelles, north into the snow. Probably they got lost, and they were like, we're not going to make it back, Jim. We're going to have to stay here in the land of the ice and snow. This whole joke spans over 100,000 years, by the way. So they're like, Jim, should we head back? And Jim was like, no, we've gone too far. Let's make the best of it. Let's start killing the woolly mammoth and wearing its skin, because that's the only way we're going to live. And then what happened? They turned white. They came out of the heart of Africa. If you don't know that, this will upset some people, but we all came out of the heart of Africa, the cradle of civilization. We were all black at first. This idea of different races doesn't even make sense. Race is a sloppy word to use. Our language can't always convey the meaning. There's one species of human that survived, and it's us. Some of us have darker skin because we were closer to the sun. Some of us turned white because we followed Jim, and he chased the juicy ungulate north. So I say let's stop talking black and white. Let's talk about what's your color on the color wheel. Your brother Seamus is going with light peach right here. See, I thought I was talking to camera 2, but I was still on camera 1. That's what happens when you do the camera and everything. You can't even hardly pay attention. Now, where was I? Patriotism. Patriotism has no religion. Let's talk about that at 509-676-6032. I'm your brother Seamus. This is the Brother Seamus Show. I hope you're having a good Sunday. And actually, before I go on my union break, support unions, by the way, support unions. It's the only time you have a voice at the table. Otherwise, the billionaires are just going to eat your lunch. When you go to vote, if you're new to the voting game, you're not just voting for one person. You're voting for a bunch of ideas. So I want you to look past all the hype about whether Biden's too old or not. Biden's team will continue to push the same ideas. If Biden had a major event, which I don't, just because you're 81 doesn't mean you can't function. You're just not as fast as you used to be. I know all you ages who you think you're worried, but what you are is you have an implicit bias against his age, and that's what's causing your anxiety, and you need to get the fuck over it. Because you're hurting the team, right? I respect anxiety. It's a powerful opponent. But you're hurting the team by crying about it, and what I want young voters to realize is you're not just voting for that old guy. Yes, he's old. You're voting for his ideas. You're not just voting for crazy Donnie Pants. You're voting for his ideas, and his ideas are frightening. Your brother Seamus is here to convince you, if you'll let him, to try to think of the possibility that maybe, just maybe, that Donald Trump is a brilliant trickster. He said he's a very stable genius. I would argue with some of that, but I do think he's a messaging genius. He knows how to make people believe stuff that's patently false. So what I want you to realize, if you really believe in Donald Trump's ideas, and we'll talk more about that later, they're horrifying ideas, but if you really believe that the country should be run by a cabal of ultra-right Christian oil tycoons, then by all means vote for Mr. Trump. But at least look at Biden's ideas first. Separate the two characters, right? We got everybody crying about Joe Biden's too old. And then over here, you got a crazy guy that wants to ruin the country because he's about to be held accountable for stupid shit that he did. That's easy to prove that he did it. Y'all realize that, right? Y'all realize that the reason that Trump got convicted by a jury of his peers with no holdouts in a very short period of time is because they were convinced by the people that testified against him. Joe Biden can't make jurors be convinced of anything. He's not that powerful. On the one hand, you say he's a doddering old fool. On the other hand, you say he's controlling the whole justice system with an invisible claw. Somehow, magically, he's controlling everything, ladies and gentlemen. Can I get an amen? Amen. There you go. Is he an evil genius that controls the Justice Department, or did Donald Trump get convicted by a jury, half of whom his side picked? They each get to basically pick half the jurors. It's not exactly how it works, but in essence. He got to figure out who's on that jury. Now, you may say there are no Republicans in New York, but there are Republicans in New York. Nobody on that jury, including the alternates, had any doubt about Trump's guilt. Some of them liked him. Many of the people that testified against Trump were his own people. Some of them still work for him. They all ended up saying, yeah, this is what we did. I still like Mr. Trump. They still like him, but they know they were breaking the law with him, and so they testified to save their own skins. Good for them. That's smart. I wouldn't go to jail. Why would you go to jail for Donald Trump? Would he go to jail for you? Even if you love him, you know the answer. No. He says he's going to pardon all these January 6 folks. Okay, hey, that's his right. Where was he when they were getting prosecuted? Where was little Donnie Pants when they were getting prosecuted? He could have given them the best legal defense money could buy, but he didn't care about it then. Once he realized, this is what your brother Seamus would say, once Mr. Trump realized that he had betrayed these people, he tried to buy them off with, flattery, admiration, singing songs. He knows he screwed those people over. He knows he got a Trump-supporting cop killed on January 6th. Trump knows that. But he's going to keep trying to convince you that he's some sort of second coming. So the far-right evangelists who are now in bed with Mr. Trump, they both have the same goals. They want to consolidate a type of power. And I got bad news for you, far-right Christians. You think Donald Trump's going to honor his side of the deal? You better think twice about that. Think about one of Hitler's right-hand man. His name was Ernst Röhm. This is the educational portion of today's program, ladies and gentlemen. If you are taking Mass Communication 303 with Professor Skitzenbro, this is your this will be on the exam, people. This will be on the exam. This fellow right here, as you can tell by his black and white photo with a swastika, this guy is a proud Nazi. They prided themselves on killing anyone who they thought was not, what's the right word? They valued only white people of a certain type. So keep that in mind, evangelical Christians. When you get in bed with a guy like Trump, Trump might do to you, or any of his loyal followers, what Adolf Hitler did to Ernst. Ernst loved being a Nazi. His friends, most of what I'm saying is true, but I'm going to make up some shit. Just, bear with me. Ernst was a Nazi's Nazi, ladies and gentlemen. Ernst Röhm helped Adolf Hitler get basically a militia / army / group of thugs going. Ernst Röhm. Ooh. Now, I don't think this is the right beat for Ernst. I think we need something. Let's find us a little bit of Wicker Basket. Ernst Röhm, he's hard to pair with music, He's kind of tricky. Like, what's the vibe you want for old Ernst? I'm going to go with some classical church music, I think, here, folks. We're going to zip it right into here. Let's see how this sounds. Oh, yeah, much better. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Wicker Basket right there performing. He's coming at us live from a cave somewhere in the southern Baltics, but he'd rather not have his location given away. So, Ernst, where did you go? Ernst, I know you're still here. So this guy, you know this guy. That's Adolf. That's your old friend Adolf. Um, Donald Trump is basically using the same handbook. So if you're just joining us, if you watch this Netflix special called Hitler and the Nazis, Evil on Trial, they're not paying me to say this, but it's an excellent documentary, and it really gives you an insight into how similar the Nazis and the Nazi movement are to the Trump movement. And so part of what I want to, that's my argument. I know some of you hate that I'm saying that somehow that a person you love could be like Adolf Hitler. But it's part of my job, part of your brother Seamus's job to confront you with uncomfortable realities. I'm not here to condescend. I'm here to try to convince you that the man you're dealing with and thinking about voting for, much like Adolf Hitler, will turn on any of his friends. He'll turn on his own family. So Ernst Röhm, Adolf Hitler and Ernst were great buddies. Now, weird twist in the story, Ernst was, we'll say, openly gay, which was super rare at the time. And a lot of the Nazis thought, like Christian evangelicals think, that being gay is an abomination and that you're going to go to hell, and that they might help you go to hell, right? Because that's how evil it is in their mind. So, but Hitler was okay with Ernst being gay, and Ernst was very, very good at his job. He helped build a group of thugs that were powerful enough that the regular German army started to look at them as an opposing army. And that kind of put Hitler in a bind. And even though without Ernst Röhm's assistance, Hitler, many people think he might not have made it as far as he did, because he got away with a lot because he had people with clubs going around beating people up, okay? Donald Trump would like to do that. Even if you love him, he's kind of tried to get that vibe going at his rallies, telling people to get people out of here. He wants people to go out and punch. Maybe not as violent as Ernst Röhm, although if he could get away with it, I think he'd probably go for it. Ernst Röhm said to Hitler, "Hey man, I'm your guy. You tell me what to do and I'll go beat the shit out of him." And he did. He killed people. He got really good at it. He recruited regular, young, mostly German men. So you had a whole big contingent of hotties, hot young boys. I'm not saying that Ernst, there's no evidence, there's never been any suggestion that Ernst was sexually abusing any of his soldiers. I'm just raising the question. A Nazi supreme commander, an older gentleman, with a whole bunch of hot young privates. No pun intended. Hey, Jim, I'm just asking the question, was Ernst Röhm, what do they call that, having a May-December situation? Was he touching the privates? That's what I'm asking. I'm sorry, that's not really the point of my story. Your brother Seamus gets might distracted sometimes. So let's put Ernst back up. Ernst was Adolf's number one dude when it came to beating the shit out of people. And Adolf was like, "Ernst, you got to get out there, bro, and break some legs, man. Kill some people." And he did. He loved his Führer. He loved Adolf Hitler. But Ernst was a Nazi purist. He believed in Nazism above and beyond his love of Hitler. So I think what happened was Hitler sensed that this guy wasn't 1,000% loyal to Hitler himself, and Ernst was so good at his job and so good at helping Hitler get where he was going that Hitler started to view him as a threat, I believe. But more importantly, the regular army, the regular German army said, they said to Hitler, "Dude, you got to pick. Do you want to be the legit president that controls the army, or are you going to bring your own army, in which case we have to fight against you, and we're going to fight? I think they threatened a coup. I could be wrong. I don't know if that's the right language for it. But basically, I think the regular German army said to Hitler, we're boxing you in, motherfucker. Get rid of Rome and his lunatic army. Because Rome was, keep in mind, Ernst Röhm was kind of a Mad Max character. He was very good at getting these boys together and kind of pulling them out of their probably difficult lives. There were probably a lot of poor working class kids, farmers' kids probably, and he basically gave them a life and an identity, and he gave them permission to be violent. So he was an excellent, excellent leader at building an army that was just there to kill people. But Hitler knew he had to go with the regular German army if he wanted to be legit. Hitler was trying to go legit, right? And Ernst was now in his way, but he probably maybe wouldn't have been where he was without Ernst. So what do you think he did? Do you think he wrote Ernst a nice big fat severance check and bought him a condo over in Cabo? You think that's what Adolf Hitler did? No, of course not. Ernst was jailed, and then of course his sexuality was used against him as a sign of that he was impure, I think. I might have just made that up. But whatever the case, they threw Ernst in prison. I almost said Donald Trump threw Ernst in prison. Adolf Hitler threw Ernst in prison. And then they said, you're inconvenient. No, you need to go. And their version of him going was he was forced to either commit suicide or they were going to shoot him. And he said, I'm not committing suicide, so of course they shot him. Hitler made sure his hands were clean. He's a good mob boss. Donnie Trump's a pretty good mob boss. He doesn't leave much of a paper trail, but he certainly leaves a trail of witnesses because he does a lot of his stuff out in the open. So if you really think that Donald Trump won't do to you what Hitler did to Ernst Röhm, I got some bad news for you, people. Patriotism has no religion. And Donald Trump has no loyalty to anyone, even though he demands it from you. If you're a loyal follower, he demands your loyalty. But at the minute you become inconvenient, I don't care who you are, if you're standing between him and the next pile of money and raw power, he's going to put a gun in your mouth and he's going to say, either I shoot you or you pull the trigger yourself. As old Ernst found out. Ernst actually got killed, assassinated, murdered, unalived by Hitler's team because he was too good at his job. Ernst Röhm was too good at his job. This is a morality tale. I will argue, I have argued, and I will continue to argue that the MAGA movement is simply a rebranding of the Nazi movement. And the far, far right religious folks are okay as long as they get their extreme agenda. But are you okay with that? Are you young millennial voters, Gen Z voters just coming into the game? Are you okay with voting for a guy who wants to make sure that women don't ever get to decide to have an abortion ever, and that doctors are so afraid, emergency room doctors are so afraid to provide life-saving care that women are going to die sitting in the waiting room? And what do you think the OBGYNs are going to do? You're going to have states where women can't find reproductive health care because it'll be too dangerous. It'll be too legally dangerous. Are you okay with that? Because it doesn't seem like a very good idea, people. got some more. We've got some more light ambient music, thanks to Young Wicker Basket, as you can see here. Young Wicker's fading in right now for our next break. Yeah, that's all I got for you at the moment. I was going to take a break a few minutes ago, but then the Spirit moved me. Ladies and gentlemen, that's some lovely church music by Wicker Basket out of West Michigan. He sent us a cassette tape in a bubble envelope so we could play some of his lovely church music. I call it preaching music. I am a registered preacher. I'm one of those dirty, rotten, left-wing, left-handed atheists. Just like old Benjamin Franklin, one of our founding fathers, who is absolutely not a Christian. You don't get to claim the United States under one religion. That's the whole point of us being the United States of America, was to get away from a king who was, on the one hand, robbing us blind, on the other hand, forcing us to believe the state religion, whatever it was at the time, probably some other version of Christianity. So let's be clear. Christianity is not the problem. Christianity means a lot of things to a lot of people. I was raised Roman Catholic, even though it's called Roman Catholic. It's a form of Christianity. Christ is at the center of it. Christ told you to love your neighbor as yourself, to do unto others as you would have done unto you. Would you want to be put in a concentration camp because you got a job here without papers? Because you broke a misdemeanor trespassing rule? That's all it really is. It's trespassing, folks. Immigrants are coming here for jobs. Point is this, ladies and gentlemen. The point is, you can't take control of the United States of America under the banner of one religion. It's just not how it works, man. It's just not how it works. I will defend your right, as I hope you would defend mine, to worship in your own way. But when the state comes along, and this is what Mr. Trump wants to do, if you're just joining us, if you're just tuning in, if you're just tuning in, I'm here to try to convince you. I'm here to try to convince you that Mr. Trump in no way, shape, or form has your best interest at heart. I think he's a brilliant con man. He's just a brilliant, brilliant con artist. And he's got you believing that it might be okay for him to quote-unquote suspend the Constitution. Are you really okay with that? And like I said, I give you the Brother Seamus. I'll give you the Brother Seamus guarantee. I don't care who you vote for, because this is big. This is bigger now than our political parties, ladies and gentlemen. These issues go way beyond whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. These issues go way beyond that. So I hope you'll understand. I don't care who your party is. I'll give you a ride to the polls if you need one. That's your Brother Seamus guarantee. Now, you got two things I should state up front. One, I don't have a car, okay? So when I say a ride, I mean a bicycle. And number two, I don't provide the bicycle. If you got a bike, I'll ride bikes with you to the polls, assuming you're within a 5-mile area of where I'm at any given moment. But I will try to help everyone in all seriousness. I can't give you a ride to the polls if I don't have a car. If you want to be a Christian, I believe in that. I believe in that for you. It's not for me. If the government says I have to be a Christian, now we've kind of blown up the whole reason that we fought the Revolutionary War. You remember, folks? It was we wanted to control our own destiny. We didn't want to be beholden to a king. A lot of the wealthier Americans didn't want to pay their taxes because the king was taking too much, as kings always do. So why would you make Trump a king? But that's what he's asking for. He wants you to make him a king. We already did that, man. You guys, we've tried it a whole bunch of times. And now, if you go to project2025.org, you can kind of read, it's real boring, but you can read how they kind of want to blow up the whole government. And this idea of mass deportations, it's like, do you realize what that would do to our economy? We need immigrants here. There's got to be a way to get people registered so they can come in and work. It helps our economy, and they do not drive up the crime rate. That's another reason, if you're a real Christian and you're having genuine doubts about Mr. Trump, it would be nice if you would think about whether Jesus would approve of the idea of mistreating human beings by putting them in concentration camps. All right, we're going to take a short break here, people. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Brother Seamus Show. We've got some neighbors outside with weed whackers. Here's the weed whacker, ladies and gentlemen. A big mowing crew just popped in. I'm gonna go ahead and close the door of the studio a little bit, just for sound purposes. Just for sound purposes. What I hope you'll understand about the Brother Seamus Show is that we're not here. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I'm here to just tell you that I think you're being tricked. Everybody gets tricked, including your brother Seamus. Everybody gets tricked. It's not your job to be perfect, but if you're a Christian, if you believe in the teachings of Christ, attacking people because they're immigrants, treating them as if they are dangerous. Yes, of course, some of them commit crimes. Their crime rate is actually a little bit lower than natural-born citizens, or we'll just say citizens. They're just people that are coming here to work. And if it's that big of a problem, how come the employers never get in trouble? You ever wonder about that? I don't know the answer exactly, except to say, I think at some level in our government we realize we need immigrant labor. What would happen? I'm no economist. What would happen if you deported all the immigrant labor right now? You don't have to be an economist to think how bad that would be for us. It's not like there are enough Americans ready to jump into those jobs. There's this fantasy that somebody took your job. Nobody took any jobs. These were jobs that were left on the table because they're brutally hard. You often have to work outside in the heat or in uncomfortable conditions. Think meat processing plants. You have to work in uncomfortable conditions, and you don't get paid that much. It's some version of farming to roofing or working on the roads. And you want to get rid of all the folks that don't have their papers in order? What if they're good working family people and all they do is go home at night, tuck their kids into bed, and get up and go back to work the next day in a brutal job for like $10 an hour? So if we really think the immigrants are the problem, then maybe we should talk to the people that keep employing them. Except that would mean holding wealthy white people accountable. And there's no reason to get rid of immigrants. They do not cause the crime rate to go up. And you should stop using people. Stop using personal tragedy, Marjorie. Stop using the personal tragedy of a family to grind some false political point. Immigrants are no more dangerous than white people. Anybody that holds up a picture of somebody killed by an immigrant, we can hold up 10 that were killed by white people. Those are just simple facts. There's criminality in every culture. But portraying immigrants as subhuman, that's the work of the devil, people. That's the work of the devil. Portraying immigrants as subhuman is the work of the devil. I would argue, in my crazy half hillbilly, half ex-Irish Catholic or ex-Catholic Irish mentality, I would argue, I would submit to you my personal opinion that Donald Trump is a form of an antichrist. Now, I don't really believe in God, so then the question is, well, what's an antichrist? Well, in my mind, it's a person who's capable of great evil, to a level where we could almost think of it as a kind of genius. And that's, I mean, even if you love Mr. Trump, you must realize he's got a grip on his people. And if you'll do anything, for the leader, well, now you got yourself something different than a president. you're in love and you're willing to give everything you've got to this guy, who does that sound like? Who do you think that guy sounds like? I have an idea for you. See if I can find it. Maybe this guy right here is the guy you're thinking about. They were so in love with him, just like you all are with Trump. They were so in love with him. This isn't just about Trump and his policies that are destructive and dangerous and would strip women of their rights, all kinds of rights taken away from women and all kinds of gay rights taken away. If that's what you want, then vote for Trump. But this guy right here, Adolf Hitler, people worshipped him the same way. They didn't question him. They really thought he understood them. They really thought he was going to save them from the way they'd been treated after World War I. They thought he was the great white hope. And he was just a murderous little maniac who was really good at mass communication, just like Mr. Trump. And yet, let me reiterate, even if you still find it in your heart to somehow vote for Mr. Trump, even if you find it in your heart to somehow forgive him of the horrible things that he's done and things that he will still do, I'll still give you a ride to the polls, because I think we have to respect each other. This is about being kind to your neighbor like Jesus taught you. And my main argument is, if you step back and you calm down and you look rationally at Mr. Trump's behaviors, when you're not constantly being told by him and his people that you should be afraid of immigrants, when you look realistically at what he does, he's mostly here to help the rich folks. He's a rich guy already, but he desperately wants to be real rich, you know. He wants to be oil tycoon rich. But he's never going to get there. I got bad news for you, Donnie. You're never going to get there. Or if you do, it'll be brief. It'll be brief. Your health isn't that great. I know you're younger than Biden, but bro, you got a lot of cholesterol up in those veins. We all know you've been eating those fillet of fish for about 40 years. The only thing that saves you is the golfing. That's probably the only thing that keeps your blood pumping. COVID almost killed you too, didn't it? Almost killed you. Donald Trump almost died of COVID, but he got last-minute life-saving treatment. And I'm not saying he shouldn't. But he convinced a lot of people that it wasn't real. Or, you know, let's say he helped convince people. He helped stoke the fires of the anti-vax movement, even though he himself got vaccinated. Do you trust that he's not another Adolf Hitler? That's my argument. I submit that to you today, humbly. Your servant in peace, Brother Seamus. I would ask you to consider, if you're having doubts about Mr. Trump, to consider those doubts well-founded. If you don't know anything really about their similarities, watch the Netflix special if you have Netflix. No, they're not paying me to say that. But watch the special. Maybe someday they'll pay me. That would be fun. Now you may think I'm off my bean, off my gourd. Out of my gourd? I think I'm off. You have to be off the bean, out of the gourd. You may think my ideas are whack. And that's okay. Will you support my right to choose the religion that I want? Or will you ram Christianity down my throat? And not just any Christianity, folks. Their particular form of Christianity, which in many cases, many of you who consider yourselves Christians would not be welcome in that faith. And remember what happened to Ernst Röhm. Right now we have an unholy alliance between extreme right-wing Christianity with Nazi overtones and Donald Trump. That's the marriage. Donald Trump's never been religious. He's not an extreme evangelical. But he's making a deal with them. He's also making a deal with the wealthy oil tycoons that he'll do nothing to help improve the air quality. Drill, baby, drill is his quote. If you're just joining us and you're a young voter, do you want a president that will drill for oil like nobody else and burn as many fossil fuels as possible? Or do you want a president who recognizes that climate change is at least a problem? And he's actually taken steps to improve the environment. Because you young voters, this is yours. This is your election to win or lose. I'm your brother Seamus. I can only do so much. 80 million Americans sat home in 2020. 81 voted for Biden, 74 for Trump, and 81 million stayed home. When regular people don't vote, you end up with extreme candidates who are popular with only a third of the country. That was true of Adolf Hitler. Although Hitler eventually won over more people than Trump has, because Hitler was a little bit more convincing. A lot of times Donald Trump I can't even tell if he believes what he's saying. If you have doubts, if you're a Trump voter and you have doubts, keep in mind, don't forget Ernst Röhm. This guy will turn on you just like Ernst found out, okay? This guy murdered this guy. This guy told this guy, you have to commit suicide because I no longer need you. You're in my way politically. And this guy had all the power, even though this guy had served him faithfully. He was right next to Hitler. He was completely in charge of the SA. But then Hitler needed to align with the regular German army, so this guy got killed. That guy killed that guy. Because guys like this never keep their promise. They never have, and they never will. So I hope you'll join us in our quest on the Brother Seamus Show. I hope you'll join us in spreading that word, that maybe it's not about Republicans and Democrats. Maybe it's just not about that anymore. Maybe it's about, do we want to keep our Constitution intact? Give us a call, 509-676-6032. What are we going to do with you, America? What are we going to do with you? You're really flirting with the devil this time, people. We would love it if you bought a t-shirt. You can find a link on the YouTube page, YouTube description of this show. Well, let me get the filter off of there. I forgot I filtered it up. It doesn't look quite right. The colors ain't right. Let me close that. Shoo-wee, that don't look right at all. Humans for Democracy is the organization that handles our merchandise right now. You can buy Immigrants Make Great Americans t-shirts here. All different styles. I didn't know there were this many styles of t-shirts. So you can get many different colors. I'm a fan of the pastels myself. It says Immigrants Make Great Americans, made by yours truly. This money, whatever we get from each t-shirt, probably $1. It goes straight into the Brother Seamus coffers, and what we're going to do with it is we're going to pay for social media advertising to keep sharing the message. You know, Brother Seamus only has a few messages. One is, I think Donald Trump is the Antichrist, or an Antichrist. I think Adolf Hitler was too. I'm a left-leaning atheist, but I'm a pragmatist too, people. I'm a pragmatist. That just means what makes the most sense. All right? You can be scared to vote for an older guy or mad that you have to vote for an older guy. It's just repressed ageism, or displaced, I should say, not repressed. You're not voting just for Joe Biden. You're voting for his plan. You're voting for the team. If something happens to Joe Biden, God forbid, he hands the baton to Kamala. You got a solid team. Just because your quarterback fumbled in one quarter of one game doesn't mean the team is shot. If you want to decide, if you want to run somebody else, then you better get with it, because where are they going to get their money? Biden is raising money like crazy, even after the debate. So don't panic. If you, as a young voter, would like to live in a country where your preference of religion is protected, you probably don't want to vote for Mr. Trump. He's made a deal with those on the right. Far right. These are not just regular right-leaning people. And they desperately want to get the women, and they desperately want to get the gays, and they desperately want to get the trans, because none of that is acceptable. And I want to ask you as a Christian, how is hatred so acceptable when that was one of the main messages of the person you consider to be your Savior? Jesus didn't say, oh, hey, by the way, love your neighbor, but, well, if you feel like hating them and they're poor and they have brown skin, or if you want to mistreat a woman or whatever, that's okay. Like, Jesus didn't have exceptions to hatred. There are no exceptions. He said, treat other people the way you want to be treated, because he knew it was the clearest, most direct way to communicate a universal ethic. And that ethic shows up across all religions, even the Church of Satanism. They don't consider Satan to be the devil. They're just rebels. They believe in social justice. I'm not trying to preach for them. I'm just saying, calling yourself a Christian doesn't mean you're Christian. And I would argue that the Christians that Mr. Trump is in bed with right now aren't really the Christians that you want representing you. But they're a very powerful group, and they're a very wealthy group. So regular Christians who have regular day jobs, you got a lot of work ahead of you. You got to organize. You got to take back Christianity from the haters. That's one way to think of it. You got to take back Christianity and make it about treating your neighbor with respect. Just like your Brother Seamus guarantee, I will give you a ride to the polls if I can, and if you have a bike and you bring your own bike, I'll give you a ride. I'll help you vote, even if I think you're voting for the wrong person, because you have a right to vote. I'll help you protect your church, even though I'm a dirty, rotten, half-hillbilly atheist. My grandpa worked in the forest in the hills of Virginia cutting wood, and they made him quit school at 6th grade so he could go to work full time. He's a true hillbilly. He was strong and he was smart, and he ended up on top. But that's not the point of this story. The point of this story is your Brother Seamus is an atheist, but if they came after your church, if the if the newly installed quote-unquote Christian majority came for your church, I'd be right there with my AK. I would defend your church. If they were coming to kill you because you're Jewish, I would defend your church. If they were coming to kill you because you're black, are they going to blow up your church like they did in the 60s? I'll defend you. And I think all people should defend you, whether you're light peach like me or not. Because in the future, younger voters, millennials, Gen Z people, first of all, you better get control of the ship. You have the numbers. You outnumber the baby boomers now, I believe. Or you at least rival them. You have the numbers to take over the game. And you probably should go ahead and take it over and start working on the environment like that. Because, and that's again, some of you don't know this, but Joe Biden has done more to help the environment than any other president because he sees what's happening. Joe Biden doesn't not listen to the scientists. Joe Biden listens to the scientists, so you don't have to love him. This is kind of morbid, but what if something does happen to Joe? Then we get our first female president who's non-white. Can you believe it? Can I get an amen? My audience went outside for their smoke break. See, they get their Union 15 just like me. So there's nobody to say amen, and nobody's called me yet, but that's okay. The lawn crew is here. They're doing their weed whacker, leaf blower, lawnmower, triple threat. I hope it's not too loud for you out there. I will drive you to the polls. This is not about Republican and Democrat. This is about an unholy man getting in bed with an unholy extreme faction of evangelical Christians because they desperately want control, and they realize that darker-skinned people and women are starting to consolidate power, as they should. And white men, you should get behind the black folks and the women. Anyone that's darker than you, anybody that's darker than light peach, we should be providing whatever allyship we can provide. And not just because it's politically correct. Because I'll be honest, I'll tell you a little secret about your brother Seamus. He don't really care. Brother Seamus don't really care about political correctness. It is the right thing to do to support women and minorities in any way you can. The bias is real. It's dangerous. People die because of that bias. But there's another reason to do it if you're a white man of a certain age. Younger white guys aren't as confused about this as guys my own age. If you're a 50-something white dude, all of this actually is better for you too. You see it as losing privilege. But what you're missing is you're gaining support. You're becoming part of a movement that's more supportive of human rights in general. Because if human rights in general are protected, it's also good for white men. You got to stop seeing it as a threat. It's like when your child gets married. Are you losing your child? No, of course not. You're not losing anything. You're gaining a new family member. Improving rights for everybody, especially those groups who have been targeted. In other words, the more female you are and the darker your skin, the more you're targeted. And in this country right now, if you're not a white Christian, you might be a target. Now they're claiming they're being targeted, but show me the attacks on well-to-do white evangelicals. Have they been violently attacked? I don't think so. So don't be tricked, white men. Don't be tricked. It's better for us too. It's better to have a society where, here's another benefit. There's many benefits. The more fair the society, the more we can start to address poverty. The more we address poverty, guess what happens? Crime comes down. So it's good for us in a sense of, don't you want to live in a safer community? These are the kinds of things that my man Sleepy Joe understands. Hey, people. Oh, I should have started the beats for that. Hang on. Let's do another take. All right, we're going to pause. Brother Jeremy here. Thank you, sir. Your service is appreciated. We're gonna jump in to the oh yes. Are y'all ready? Oops, I started the wrong one, didn't I? Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. It's the Brother Seamus Show. Don't go anywhere. There it is. Oh, dock-a-doodle-da-doo, dock-a-doodle-da. Sleepy Joe, vote for Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe, vote for Sleepy Joe. Yeah, vote for Sleepy Joe. Vote for Sleepy Joe. If you're a young voter and you're not sure who to vote for, don't be distracted. All the talk about age, that's all a distraction to trick you into thinking that just because Joe Biden can't get on stage with a world-class liar and both answer questions and refute the guy's lies all at once, that doesn't mean he can't do the job. And you want to know the reason we know that he can do the job, people? It's right in front of you all the time. How do we know? For all of you worrisome folks, oh, but I don't know. What if he can't do the job? What if he can't do the job? Everybody's wringing their little fingers. Some people are just outright ageist. Some of the folks. I won't name any names right now, John Stewart, but some of the folks are just outright ageist. But guess what? Where's Jim? Guess what, Jim? He's already doing the job. He's doing it right now, and he's kicking the shit out of it. That's right. Chicka-pow. He's kicking the shit out of it. You don't want to admit it because you've been listening to Donald Trump's lies. The U.S. economy has improved better than any economy in the world. Inflation is coming down, almost back to normal. Joe Biden can't completely control that. Some of that's coming from big corporations that saw their chance to gouge you. Those are the same big corporations, especially the oil companies, that are getting in bed. You hear that squeaky sound? That's the springs on the Trump bed. Trump's in the middle. The evangelicals who want to force you to be a Christian of their type, and then the oil barons are on the other side. We got a threesome going, folks. So they keep gouging you. But my point is this. Joe Biden's handling our business. Number one of the G7 countries. I'm no economist, but I don't really need to hear much more than that. But if you're a numbers person, all right, you think Trump's so cool? Compare Trump's job numbers to Biden's job numbers. Biden kicked the shit out of it. I'm not going to look it up for you. I don't feel like it. Look it up yourself. It's easy. These are easy facts for you to confirm. But Donnie Boy will lie to you because that's what he does. He is a genius at lying. He really is a genius, people. He's a genius. Don't be fooled. Well, that's it for today. I hope you'll at least consider what your brother Seamus is telling you. I hope you'll think about it. Either way, I'll help you get registered if that's really how you want to vote. I hope you'll think about maybe it's not about Republican or Democrat anymore. Maybe it's not even about that. And hey, if you're a Christian, maybe you shouldn't want the government to dictate Christianity to everybody else. That is what little Donnie Pants' team is proposing. They're proposing that Christianity become a national religion. Patriotism has no religion, people. Patriotism has no religion. Vote for Sleepy Joe. I love me some Sleepy Joe. He's a good man. He's got a good heart. He may not be doing everything that you like all at once, but he's got it. stop ringing, stop snowflaking about the debate. He's fine. I like to see an 81-year-old man. He's smart grandpa. Is he a little bit frail? Sure. Is he a little bit stiff? Sure. So would you. It doesn't mean his mind doesn't work. It's just as likely that Trump is suffering from some sort of cognitive deficits. They're only 3 years apart. Focus on the agenda. If Mr. Biden has a health emergency, he will hand the baton to Kamala, and that's our team. So you support the team. They want to improve the environment. They want to hold big corporations accountable. If we made big corporations and trillionaires pay their proper taxes, healthcare wouldn't cost so much. We could have a vibrant public-private healthcare system, unlike anything else in the world. We could do that, but we need millennial and Gen Z voters. We need you to realize it's not about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. It's about a livable world versus some kind of dictator-driven Mel Gibson hellscape. Americans aren't that great at voting, but once we're registered, there's a 94% chance, people. I just read this. I think the stats are solid. 94% of Americans show up to vote once they're registered. So if you're wondering what you can do, just get people registered. The more regular voters that enter the voting pool, be they Republicans or Democrats, doesn't matter. More people in washes out extreme candidates. I would argue Trump's an extreme candidate. But the most important thing to do is for everybody to vote and help your neighbor vote. You don't have to agree on everything just to be a helpful neighbor. That's it, people. That's all I got for you today. I'm going to get the hell out. Let's end with another dance number. Oh, that was copyrighted. I got to slow it down. This is another air guitar at half speed. This is pre-recorded, but I hope you'll dig it. This is Hearts on Fire. I forgot whose track this is. Shame on me. I think it might be Jet. Hearts on Fire, people. I'm going to crank it up. Too